It's Monday at SNG Studio, and that's my dog who wants to get in. She brips. We call it bripping. See, there she is. Good, Rosie. Okay, yes, no, it's Monday. And what I'm doing is, I'm marking the fin locations using this nice Estes tool on the ends here of each tube, which is something that most model kit companies don't do, but I'm not most. I make everything by hand, and I have had people rather anxious in the past. Where's my kit? Well, they neglected to read in big red letters at the top of the order page that I hand make everything, and it may take 2 to 3 weeks to get your kit. Usually doesn't, but I like to give myself a buffer in case I run out of parts or somebody is out of them like they were with this kit, because my normal supplier was out of body tubes. So I had to get them from somewhere else, and I had to wait for them. So what I do is, rather than use a door frame like many companies suggest, I use this Estes tool and mark the fin locations, so you can easily attach the fins to this model. And there we go. So you can see that you have fin locations to attach the fins to, which makes it really nice. I always hate it when I get a paper wrap and you have to cut it out of the plans or the instructions, and then you have to tape it together, wrap it around this, then mark these points front and back. But you don't need to go front and back when you use this. So as soon as this starts to sag, we go. And here, put the little air in there, and look at that, it's out. And of course, we have another one. The camera's backwards right now. Okay, new deal. I am using, as you can see how you can see through that? I'm using PETG because what I found is that the styrene this thing gets very super hot, and I had to actually lower this down a little bit right here so it won't bubble the PETG. But once this PEG starts to sag, just even a little bit, I get a much thicker boat tail, and when you try to cut it along the edges, it will not be a problem. So continuing on with rocket kits today, I want to get these done so I can get to these masks this week, which we will be doing. You can see what I'm starting to do here is I'm starting to make this bag. I have to cut the shock cord, the engine tube, there's an engine clip in there, and each one of these has those items in it. And it's for Delta and for X15s, they're all the same. And I go through here, and this is where I keep most of the stuff. Everybody gets an engine block to keep. I know a lot of you guys don't use these, but I can't speak for everyone, so I use them sometimes. Sometimes I don't have any block in there or a clip or anything. I just use tape. Just wrap tape around the engine and squeeze it in there. And they don't move because they're gonna move the rocket before they move inside the rocket motor tube. So I'm getting low on those, so I can tell I need to do a reorder on those. And what we got in here? We got launch lugs and eye bolts and engine clips. I already put the engine clips in. I'm doing okay on engine clips. These are for the bigger rockets I sell. For holding the motors in. So I got my lugs here, and so on and so forth. And we've got centering rings, and the centering rings that I use are from Bill at Balsa Machining, a really great place to get stuff from, as well as Apogee components. These are a big bag of his centering rings, and these are all laser cut. They're not cardboard, and they're much higher quality. So you can see that I give you 3 centering rings. The reason is that you're going to put one on this end here and epoxy it in, and then attach the eye bolt or eye hook, depending on your point of view, to that for your shock cord and your parachute. But you also, if you wanted, you could hook a piece of heavy styrene to the edge of that, or other kind of plastic, and drill into it and attach it that way. These things are not cheap. Just so you guys know that are buying rocket kits from me, I put good quality parts in these, and then, you know, by the time I get through spending all this labor and time putting these kits together and paying for the parts that go in them, you're getting a really heck of a deal. I am going to be offering some higher end rockets very soon, and those you will not be getting a heck of a deal on. They're going to cost more. I got an X-15 that I'm going to do, that's a Delta that I started a while ago, and it has an all fiberglass, epoxy fiberglass fuselage. So these are the eye bolts that I use, and you get 2 in each kit because one goes into the centering ring down here at the top of the engine tube, and then that connects to your shock cord, and you run that through that way. It's much more solid. Just having it, you know, stuck to the side of the tube. You're not going to lose it that way. Launch lugs are standard. For the larger models, I use this size eye bolt, and I have more of those, thankfully. But these are launch lugs. These models are too small, I think, to use buttons on it for rail launching. So I include 2 of these in each kit. The parachutes I use come with a swivel. A lot of us don't use swivels, but they do come with it. And they come, as you can tell by these dotted lines here, these are the 3 different sizes. So you can, and it includes the shrouding, and these are to keep the plastic from tearing, little O-ring things, and this is for 18, 15, and 12-inch parachutes. So for this one, I'd recommend 18-inch is, you know, so you use the full thing. Every bag has your boat tail or nose cone in it, and parachute, and all the other small parts you need to build this model. As you can see, these kits are getting there. I've got the goodie bags, as I call them, which has everything in them that you'll need to make the rocket functional, except your own motor, which you have to provide. I recommend flying these on Ds. They go pretty high and pretty fast on Ds, but if you want to leave the engine block out and use a longer engine tube, you could put an E in this, and some of you will do that. The X-15s have shorter length on the tubes, and of course the Deltas have a longer tube. So all these are pretty much ready to go, and what I have to do tomorrow is cut all the wood for it. And all that wood is hand cut. I don't have a laser cutter, and the small orders that I do, it would make it impractical for me to do laser cutting for these pieces, because you have to do bulk orders and it costs a lot of money, and it won't reduce the price. So I just have templates and I cut them by hand. So here it is, where it's Tuesday, and they have a template like this, and that's for the X-15 Delta wing. And I probably should put up a picture while I'm talking about this, so some of you watching this for the first time know what the heck I'm talking about. You'll see a picture of the X-15 Delta, which was a concept for the X-15 that didn't make it. But still, nonetheless, has a lot of appeal to us modelers. So I've taken that template, and I take this ruler, and I'm going to cut this wood out. And there you go. 2 nicely matched, beautiful balsa wings. And the nice thing about this stuff is that it's not laser cut, so there's no burn marks or anything like that. It's just nice and clean, precisely cut by hand by a real human being. And well, at least I think I am. Uh, so I'm going to do the other two sets of these, and then all the sets of pieces of wood for the X15 itself. So you can see all the parts down here I had to cut. Fin fill, wing fill goes between the two wing tunnels here. The bottom and top pieces for the fins, and then the wings down, focused on it, and the wings down here. So both of those are done. You know, it takes me a while to do. You know, it's not unpleasant work. It's nice work, but again, I'm trying to demonstrate, you know, what happens. So that's how I make the kits, and I think I showed you the process of pouring. I mean, maybe I did not, but we went over that before. But of course, what I do is, so I think I showed you about how I pour parts. There's a fin in here. I pour the resin in there. I roll it around. I pull the part out. That all takes time too. So that's how I build a rocket kit, and I am going to raise the prices because I just ran out of balsa wood that I bought over a year ago in bulk. It's double the price it was back then, so I have to pass that along to you. Hope you don't mind. I'm sorry, I'm being sarcastic, but you know, it's annoying what's going on in the world with the price increases on everything being so dramatic. I don't think it's right, but that's just me. Yours may vary. Anyway, tomorrow we're going to work on some masks and send these out. It is a cold day here, but it's been cold. In fact, ever since October, it has been like on the average 45 to 50 degrees in this bay back here. And yeah, October, November, December, January, February, 5 months of it, which is not typical of Ventura, of Southern California, for us to have cold like this. It's even cold in LA, so yeah, our climate is definitely changing. So, or maybe it's just one of those things, right? Oh, it happens sometimes. Yeah, okay, sure, whatever. It's cold, and so things are stiff. Things are not setting up. Cords I can't uncurl. So, you know, I got this heater on here, and I'm standing near it just so I don't get sick. So I'm going to continue on with this update now that I'm done complaining. I'm going to show you what I'm doing. Yeah, it's fun. So I have these masks here that I'm doing for a customer, and one of them he wants unfinished. But I'm assuming he wants me to cut the eyes open and everything. So I've cut open the eyes, I cut open the mouth. Now, some of you have had difficulties wearing these, that they were too thick rubber. Well, let me address that. You know, when you get cheap masks made out of thin rubber from China, yeah, they'll rot in a few years, maybe even less. My masks will last 30, 40 years if you treat them right. Keep them in plastic bags when you're not using them. You put them on display and people come over, you take the plastic bag off. They will last a very long time because this is thick, strong, really good high-grade rubber. So what I'm going to do next is Dremel tool all these openings smooth and nice. I'm going to patch some of the bubbles with Cabo Patch, which I have to do because this mold had a problem here. It's starting to develop. It's bubbles underneath the surface. I have to remove all the bubbles and prep these up for paint, and then we're going to paint them. Okay, so continuing on with this SNG Studio update, it is very cold back here. I mean to tell you it's cold. It's in the 40s. Cords are all stiff. Everything's stiff. But what I'm doing today is getting really messy. You can see all the stuff on me, and it's from buffing off rubber and taking away bubbles and defects and making things nice and using the Dremel tool. So I'm using a Dremel tool and all these different attachments. A soft buffer works best, and I'm cleaning up all these masks, taking away all the bubbles and little problems it has. Now I still have some bubbles to fill still and fix. You always get them, pretty much, especially these days, because rubber just seems to be thicker, or I don't know what. But you know, I sloshed it in, I sloshed it out, then I let it sit. You still get some bubbles. So no problem. We use Cabo Patch, which is a mixture of, yes, I got to pour up the teeth. Cabo Patch. I'm always having a problem finding it. Where did it go? Where is it this time? I will find it. Oh, here's Cabo Patch right here. And what it is Prosade. It's a prosthetic adhesive. It's white. And we mix it with, try to get that off with one hand. Okay, we'll try. Oh, well, it is glue. Okay, so there. It makes this nice little paste. And you take the paste and you fill in the bubbles with it. And then you can paint right over it. So that's what I'm doing next. Fixing all these problems, and then we're gonna paint the mask. And as you can see, there, as you can see how messy it is. I mean, my hands are covered where just, you know, it's all over me. And it gets in my hair and my face and my hat. Is it getting in my hat? That would upset me. No, it's not. It just gets everywhere. So I'm wearing a Pampered Chef and a nasty old sweater to keep me warm, and that way my shirt underneath remains clean without all this frosty stuff you're seeing here, which gets all over the place. So let's get these filled, and yeah, let's do some painting. So as you can see, I patched everything, so there's no more bubbles. That'll eventually turn sort of a clear color, but I can paint over it right now. We don't worry about little things like this because there's hair over that. But for this one over here, which is the one that I think he wants to finish himself, I fixed everything so it looks nice all the way around. Not knowing exactly what he's going to do with it, it's a very clean mask. So my molds are starting to get old because you guys have bought a ton of these, and so I'll be making new molds fairly soon, but for right now, the facial detail and stuff is fine. I'm just starting to get some little bubbles sticking around out here. So again, this is the Cabo Patch, and as you can see, I didn't really mention what Cabosil is, and I'm always assuming, well, you guys know what that is. Cabosil is powdered glass. That's what it is. And it's used as a filler for fiberglass. So it's inert. It's not something I would want to ingest myself. But, you know, because a lot of us put spit on our fingers and smooth this stuff out. It works really well, better than water. And but, you know, because it's encapsulated in the Prosade is designed to be used on human flesh, so it is not something toxic. And so it makes a really great filler. We've been using it for years and years and years in mask work. So now, next up is get that stuff dry enough to start putting some paint on it. And let's pour some rubber in these teeth. Yes, the wonderful world of liquid rubber. And you can see here that, you know, it's rubber. And you see how thick it is? You know, it's pretty thick these days. Anyway, I took a spoon and I put some in this mold. And that'll soak in a little bit. I used a toothpick to make sure there's no bubbles inside of it. I don't know why humming and making sounds and music make it all work better, but it does. So that's that, and I'll dump out the excess in a minute, throw it in the oven, it'll dry out pretty quick. I gotta do it 3 times. Okay, I found a way to prop up the phone. And I got some SC89, which is SC94, which is a non-toxic paint that actually sticks to rubber quite well. And I use universal tints. because it's water soluble, and I paint like so. Now I remember all those bubbles and stuff, like right here on the ear. You can just see it there. Wet bubbles. So that stuff works very well. And the compressor is very noisy. That was unfortunate. I'm trying to do this so you can see it. It's kind of hard to though, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of smart. I just want you to see what it takes to make a mask for you. No matter who you are and what you order, I have to go through this every time. And we got a drip there because of the way I was doing it to try to show you. Normally I'd have this on a flat surface, on a shape that supports it, but the other thing I like about this paint is that it does take a couple of days, well, about a day, sitting on the rubber before it really sticks. I found that out the hard way. But a couple of days, it sticks very well. Now, gorillas just aren't this sort of brown, black color. There's some shading in there too, and I'm going to do it on this one, because this is the one I'm going to finish for him with hair. So there we go. A little bit of shading on the gorillas. It's very subtle, but you know, when it's just completely brownish black, it just lacks a little life for my taste. I mean, it still looks like that, but when I move back and forth, you see how it changes? It's not, it's like there's none, and it's just always the same. Here you can see a little bit of highlight, a little bit of depth to the skin. And here's the chimp. And the reason these are all dark out here is that's what we used to do. We made up apes on set. This would help with the dark hair and the lace pieces that we used. We didn't have a problem seeing the skin color through them quite so intense. So they always put a lot of dark around, and also the shading around the eyes. I always like that look. It looks a little orange on camera, I'm noticing, but it's not. It's just that chimp brown. So, yeah, so those are painted. Now the next step I'm going to do is to take hair. And I'm not going to lay the hair today, but what I am going to do is I'm going to prepare the hair that I have for laying it on. So, I know there's rockets everywhere. We have a launch coming up Saturday. This is a Canadian rocket known as the Black Brant, and I'm going to be launching that. It's fairly large for a low power rocket. Probably going to launch that on a E engine or F. So I've got all this hair here. You can see all the different, there's the orangutan colors, some gray I mix in sometimes. And this is the chimp dark brown. It's almost a black. It's also the same thing that was used on the gorillas as the overlay. We would put overlay over the lace pieces, which were human hair hand tied by Josephine Turner, I believe. And so this is a pretty close match to that. And so what I have to do is take it out of here and cut lengths of it. And you see how kinky it is and curly. Well, we stretch this stuff out. Then I steam it straight, and then I run it through a hackle, then cut those lengths, and after I get a big pile of it, then I can lay it on the mass with barge cement. So it takes a while to get this string out of it, and then you got to stretch it out and steam it, and you can't always get it like perfect, but you get pretty close. A little bit of curl in it's okay, and then you steam it like that. And I'm doing this with one hand, which is not the way you're supposed to do it, but you get the idea. It straightens it out and fluffs it up enough that you can then put it through the hackle, and I will show you the hackle. This is the hackle, and the hair, of course, is getting stuck on my sculpting tools over there. And you can see how this works. And you get a nice hair like that. And what you don't do is forget and lean on this, which is why I have this there. So what I'm going to do is you take this fur, this hair, and you stretch it apart into lengths. And then you run it through here several times. You get a fair amount of waste, unfortunately, but you want it to be nice and soft like this, so you can get a nice look like that. So you see, it's not all easy. You just don't slap hair on a mask and just throw paint on a mask and just dump rubber in a mold and dump it out, because I do hear people mention that they think these things that I'm making are too expensive. Well, they're not too expensive. In fact, they're pretty reasonably priced. And maybe you'll feel that way after you see everything I go through. And remember that rubber I poured into the molds? I think it's dry enough to pull out. Let's find out. No, it is not. It clearly is not. Affected, or is it? No, well, no. Oh, it is. There's a set of lower teeth. Okay. Just like that. So that's how we make the teeth, and I got to do that 3 times, cut them, trim them, stain them, and then glue them into the mouth. There's the upper teeth. So now I'm going to pour more rubber in these and get a 3rd pair. So here's that hair, and what you do is you actually stretch off, not cut, a length. So you fluff this out on the big main bit of it, the length, and do that, and then you do this. Okay, I need to fluff it out some more. A lot of steps, huh, guys? Let me do that again. Because you want the ends to be nice and feathered, not just raw cut. Because that piece there cannot be used. A lot of sap. Okay. Like that. And I do this a bunch, so I get something that looks like that. Then we go over here to where the famous hackle is, which actually we can see in frame, and we start doing this. This. Now, if this was a full head mask, like a werewolf or something, where everything, it's got hair all over it, you can imagine how long this will take. And crepe hair is not inexpensive. You see what I got? Get a really nice bit of hair there. I'm gonna add it to this pile here. And the shorter lengths that I get, I end up using for overlay on the edges. So you don't toss that out, you just do this to it. And that's so you get that feathered edge on the mask. So we got that there. And I'm going to pull this all through and add it to the more feathered stuff I have over here in the back. And I'm going to do this over and over again until I have enough hair to cover that entire mask. Then I start doing this process. I cut the hair, And I put the barge cement on it, and I start laying the hair in, and hopefully it stays stuck. So I have to do that all the way around, and the last thing I'll do, I'll come all the way around like this and up here and down here, and the last thing I'll do is some very fine stuff on the edges that makes it look like it's growing out of the face. I tell you, this could be a really hairy business sometimes. I know, bad joke. My nose is running, it's cold back here, my allergies are going crazy, but I got some hair on one gorilla mouse and I'm about to do another. This takes time. In fact, it took me almost an hour to do one, and it's because it's so cold. The glue is not behaving itself, but ultimately it's coming out very well. I'm going to start on another one. Doesn't that hair look good when it's been hackled? I mean, it's really nice. That's crepe hair. I mean, crepe wool. It's just beautiful. And I'm sticking in on this guy and slowly but surely getting him filled out. I still have this side here to do, but I'll be done here pretty quick. And so there we are. Got the hair on the Cornelius, whatever you like to call him. You know, that he's kind of looks like Roddy, I have to admit myself. And you can see the hair work came out very, very nice. I'm using 3M77 to do the overlay, which I find works better than using the thicker stuff. And it works very well. So I don't know that on the background mask, the hair laying was so nice on this TV show, but this looks really, really nice, and I'm very happy with it. So that's how we make the mask. Monday I'll show a little bit more putting the teeth in, but that really encapsulates everything, all the process. I don't think I showed the rubber being poured. I can't remember how that was all done, but if I showed it in a video or not, I have in other videos. But that's how we make these masks, and that's how much time it takes to do it. So tonight, we're going to end this video in the edit bay while I do editing on my latest film. Here's something I rarely show. We're upstairs here in the upstairs room, and then standing at the top of the stairs, I just kind of had a look looking down. We've been here 10 years, and it's just amazing to me that we're in this big old place. And it's just a really nice view. Lovely Fiat, which we've been working on for a while now, and it's really starting to look like a race car. The P-51 down there, the Planet of the Apes mask being worked on, and a dog. So wow, what a week that was. It's still happening. We just got back a little while ago from the rocket launch, which went very well, and there will be a video, it's uploading now for the rocket launch, so you can see that. It's separate from this. If I included in this, it would be a 2-hour feature. So, and there'll be some other footage that Rich Redhead, my friend, who came up to fly with us, shot from the point of view of looking up into the business end of the rockets as they left the pad, which would be pretty cool. But this is our film, which I've talked about, which we shot recently. In fact, it was last weekend at this time. Yeah, I think it was. You know, time just kind of gets away from me these days. And back there, you can see what I'm doing. And I'm working in DaVinci and Resolve 18 Studio, whatever. And, well, here's a little...
So do you, Mark. Ever think that's what attracted you two together?
Yeah, you could...
Maybe. Maybe it is, Dad. Her name is Jean.
I don't want to give too much away about this story, but you can see I'm actually working on the film, and I'm about 3/4 of the way through the edit. Now, it's very rough right now, and we have some microphone ruffling noise from the lavaliers, but that's all going to be removed very easily. Considering we shot the film in one day. We did 15 pages in one day, and in less than 8 hours, because we had limited time at the location. it was a miracle that we got the footage we got. It was kind of an experiment. I wanted to see if it could be done. It was able to be done, and there were some drawbacks, but nothing I can't fix, especially with DaVinci. It's been amazing. So that's it for this week. Next week report, I promise, will be shorter. I had so much video to edit this weekend that I am having a problem getting it all done, or even getting the newsletter done. So bear with me. It's been really busy. I appreciate all your support. And of course, if you like these videos, please subscribe and give us a like. And remember, I have a Patreon page, and I've got a lot of supporters there that help keep the studio doors open. Our rent just went up for the first time in a long time, considerably, as well as everything else that you're all experiencing with gas and heating your homes and everything else. Things are going up. So if you want to help out with the studio and keep these videos coming, they take me time to do, and money, and or if you want to go to our store and buy a mask or something collectible from my career or from movies of the past that we all love and TV shows, please feel free to do so, and just follow the link. Thanks again, you guys. Love you, and see you next week.